Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Terrence. Thanks for joining Tech with Terrence. Today, I just wanted to talk to you guys about interviewing and the job process, job hunting, things like that. Recently I've been searching for a job. Basically, my first IT job. Um, I take that back. I've worked in IT before. I worked in technical support, customer service. However, I've been looking for something a little bit more on the upside of that, maybe like help desk, something like IT support, something like that. Recently, I found a job called IT technician. This job basically, you work with servers, you work with ticketing systems, you work with printers, you work with Active Directory, things like that. I decided to go for that kind of job just to kind of enhance my skills. One thing when it comes to applying to different jobs or just searching for a new job, you got to kind of get the skills to be able to convey that to the job interviewers. That's what I did today and actually got a job interview. I was applying to a lot of different jobs. I used Indeed, LinkedIn. That's a good place that you can go to apply for jobs. There's ZipRecruiter. I'm not too familiar with ZipRecruiter. I don't necessarily like that one all that much, but I did use ZipRecruiter here and there just a little bit. But I did actually end up getting a callback on one of my job applications, and the title of the job was IT technician. I interviewed for the job a day after I put in the application, so they contacted me pretty quickly, which was kind of surprising. But they did contact me back, so I was happy about that. We did talk during the interview when it first started, and this interview basically is a series of a few interviews. So I'm still currently interviewing for the position. However, I want to talk about the first part of the interview. The first part of the interview, which I had yesterday, we just kind of talked about what the job was about and what I would be doing in the job. We also talked about what my salary expectations are for the job. I've never actually had anyone in a job interview ask me that before, as far as what my salary expectations are. So that was a pretty interesting question when that question came about. The way I approached it, I did research what you're supposed to say, or what's a good thing to say when someone asks you, what are your salary expectations? I said something basically on the lines of, you know, I expect, well, let's back up for a second. I did research as far as what the expected salary is for an IT technician. And so I did find that it's somewhere in between maybe the 45,000, maybe to 65 and above. But I just wanted to play my cards right. So when they basically asked me, what my salary expectations were, I just gave a wide range from the low end of that salary expectation all the way to the high end of that salary expectation. That way, we can negotiate and kind of just play with the numbers if I were to get an offer. So that's how I decided to approach it. After we talked about salary expectations, the interviewer, he did ask me, do you have any questions, that you have for me or for us as a company? And one tip that I would give to you guys is definitely, if an interviewer asks you, do you have any questions at the interview, make sure that you have something to ask them. It's nothing worse than you're interviewing someone and it's kind of, it should be like a double exchange. You can't be in an interview if someone's just asking you questions and you don't ask them questions. It's the kind of a relationship that you're trying to build. So that's what I would suggest, is definitely to ask questions, just to let them know that you're motivated and that you're interested in the actual position. So I asked questions. So we ended the interview, and actually I got a call back. It wasn't long before I got the call back, but I did get the call back, and I went in for the second interview. It was actually a virtual interview. I didn't go in, but it was a virtual interview. So that was pretty cool. For the interview, another tip that I would definitely leave you guys is when you're interviewing, whether it's virtual or in person, just make sure that you have a clean cut appearance. I think that's very important. Sometimes people, even though that you're at home, or you can interview from at home, or you can work from home remotely, um, I think some people kind of get lazy in their appearance, their hair and the way that they dress. So you just want to make sure that you always just look your best, really just anywhere or always. Um, so yeah, so I wore just like a basic collar shirt, and I think that that's very appropriate. Make sure my hair was combed and things like that. You think you wouldn't have to tell people that, but I'm just saying that for those who don't know, I'm just telling you guys. Um, but yeah. So we started the interview, and this actual interview is with two people. It was with two people on the panel. One of the people, they were going to be on the actual particular group that I'd be working with. It was a person from that group, and then the other person was over that group. Basically, you can say they managed that group. So I interviewed with those two people, and another tip that I'd give to you guys is if you find that you get nervous when you're interviewing, or that you find that it's hard for you to concentrate, one tip that you can do is stand up. So I don't know if you guys can tell right now. I'm not sitting down right now. I'm actually standing up. And they say that it's something with the blood that flows through your body. It's different than when you're actually sitting down in a sitting down position. So I stood up during the whole interview, and I actually felt more free, and I felt uh, I felt more mobility as far as physically how I felt. I felt good because I was standing up. So sometimes if you're sitting down, you may feel all crunched up and just closed in. So I think when you're interviewing, you should be as open as possible. But anyway, so yeah, I was standing up, and during the interview, they asked a few questions. Of course, they told me to tell them about my history. They asked me, what experience do I have with the different technologies? They asked me about printing. They asked me what experience do I have with IP addresses. They asked me what experience do I have about networking, routing, switching. Those are all things that I actually Googled, or actually have been studying prior to the interview. So one tip that I'd give to you guys is whatever job that you guys are thinking about going for, or you're thinking about applying to, I think it's a good idea to make sure that you do at least some research on that particular position. That way you don't go into the interview blindly, because if they ask you technical questions, because most tech companies have a technical portion of their interviewing process. So when you get to that process, you want to be able to contribute at least something. You want to make them or let them know that you're knowledgeable of the job that you're trying to get. So I think that that's important to definitely do at least some research on the position. Um, yeah. So they did ask those questions, and I think I did pretty good as far as answering them. I think a lot of the times, and just another tip, a lot of the times when people don't know something, they just won't flat out and say, I don't know. And I think it's part of being humble, or just showing humility and showing that you are human by saying, I don't know if you don't know. Even if you don't want to say, I don't know, you can say something like, I'm not familiar with that technology right now, but I'll be happy to get back with you on that, or I have no problem with doing research to find that out. That's a good question. So things like that, just to let them know that you are willing to find out something that you don't know. So I think that's important. I'm trying to think, what else did we cover? What else did we talk about? So they asked me technical questions. They asked me about my history, my work history. They did ask me my hobbies, and one thing I felt like I messed up on is I did I threw in there a hobby. I like to sing, so I actually threw that in there, and it kind of slipped out when I told them about my hobbies. I did talk about my tech hobbies as far as making a YouTube channel and following different YouTubers, but it did slip out that I like to sing, and I guess I was just a little nervous, and so it did slip out. But just another tip I would suggest when they ask you, what are your hobbies? Try to keep them related to the actual job that you're doing. So yeah, so that's a good tip. But other than that, I think the job interview went well. And uh, after I got out of the interview, we ended the call, and I thanked them for interviewing me, and I thanked them for their time. And yeah, and I told them that I'd be looking forward to hearing from them real soon. Um, I wasn't expecting it, but they actually did end up getting in contact with me later on today, and they invited me for the I guess the third portion of the interview process, which is the technical assessment. I thought that particular interview that I did before with the two panel members was the technical assessment, but it wasn't necessarily. Maybe it's a part two of that. Although they did ask me technical questions, uh, I'm going to actually go in onto the site and take an assessment, and they're going to probably set up two computers. One is going to have a server on it. The other computer is probably going to have um, maybe just a regular computer, and I'm going to probably be given a few tasks to do, probably so they can gauge how technical my ability is. So that'll be pretty interesting. I don't know if there's too much studying that you can do for that, but I'm going to do my best to try to see if I can find some resources to help me with the technical assessment at the site. But we'll see how it goes. Like I say, this is a job interview for IT technician, and if you don't do well, or if you don't do as good as you want to, I think that it's good that you continue to try to just do your best. You learn from each interview that you go on. Every interview is not going to be perfect. You just want to make sure that you don't give up, and just believe that you can do it, and then you'll actually land that job, and you'll land something, and you'll be glad that you went through the process. Sometimes you may not get the job you want on the first job interview, and that's okay. But you do gain experience from every little step of the way, all the way up until you do get the job that you want. You'll be glad that you went through the process. So I've rambled on enough. I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate you guys' time. And here again, this is Tech with Terrence. I'll catch you guys later. So peace. You guys take it easy. Good luck.